Good morning, guys, or good afternoon, whether you're joining me from the present or the future. Welcome back to another FutureFight Vanguard video. Today we are going to be continuing on with our second week of our Corona catch-up videos. We are now on the Crystal Melody set, which is V-EB11, and today we'll be talking about the Pacifica deck, which is a deck centered around getting as many of your Pacifica cards that you can to your hand and then placing them on the board, and then activating the Vanguard's effect to get a certain amount of skills. So everything in the deck revolves off of trying to get your Pacificas to your hand, whether it be from drop zone, deck, damage, or even or not your bind zone, but your bind zone is the only place where you can't get your Pacificas back from. But it basically, the deck just focuses around getting your all your Pacificas to hand so that they can hit the board and you can use the effect to end the game or try to end the game. But yeah, with that being said, we're going to get right into the deck here. If you guys haven't already, be sure to leave a like on the video, letting me know that you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment below letting me know your thoughts on the video or your advice for other people for the deck. Also, be sure to subscribe and click the bell button so that you don't have to miss any content going from us going forward. Also, be sure to check out our second channel, Let's Plays Animes, if you guys are interested in anime, animation, or video games. Also, be sure to check out the join button down below for our channel memberships if you guys are interested in learning Vanguard deeper or supporting the channel deeper, either or both. But with that being said, let's get right into today's video. So today, like I said, we're going to be talking about the Pacifica deck, and what better card to start with than our forerunner of the deck, like basically our ace card of the deck, which is Top Idol Pacifica. This is a Force deck. Now, I would suggest going Force 1 in this deck, but I have seen some people go Force 2. I prefer Force 1 personally because of Pacifica's skill, the way that it works, or one of her skills. So let's talk about her skills. So during the main phase, you can Soul Blast 1. If she's on Vanguard Circle once per turn, and then you activate all of the effects below according to the number of your rearguards with Pacifica in its card name. So basically the only cards with Pacifica in its card name in your deck is actual Pacifica herself. So what this means is that if you have 1, 2, or 3 Pacificas, you activate different effects and they stack. So if you have 1, you activate the 1 effect. If you have 2, you activate the 1 and the 2 effect. And if you have 3, you activate all 3 effects. So the first effect is if you have 1 or more Pacificas, then this unit gets plus 10,000 power and a drive until the end of the turn. So basically, quote unquote, becomes a stride, becomes a 23k base, and then also gives you triple drive. So that's pretty good. The 2 or more is you get 2 imaginary gift force. So this is what I was saying makes me want to go Force 1, because the more turns that the game goes on, the more we generate 2 force markers every single turn, and then they stack. So obviously if you go Force 2, by the time you first ride and then activate this skill, you'll be capped out for as far as how useful your forces will be. I also feel like you want to attack for kind of higher columns so that your opponent can't just like intercept or anything like that to get out of your attacks because of the third ability. So the third ability is until the end of the turn when your opponent will call from his or her hand a guard circle. He or she must call 3 or more at the same time. So basically this runs through your opponent's hand very quickly. So even though you only have 3 attacks in the turn, if your opponent has to guard with 9 cards, basically, they can't guard with 9 cards every single turn. No deck plus is enough to keep up with guarding that for multiple turns without being able to do anything themselves. So very, very good finishing effect, and that is basically the premise of the deck, is you want to get all of these that you can, put them on the board, try to end your opponent. Then for our backup grade 3, we run 4 Refined Posier Ursula. So Ursula has a very good effect on Vanguard or Rearguard. When it's placed, you can counterboss 1, search your deck for up to 1 Top Idol Pacifica from your deck and drop zone, reveal them, put them into your hand, and if you search your deck, then shuffle your deck. So this is amazing because this allows you to get not only a Pacifica from your deck, if you don't have it from your deck already, but also from your drop zone. So if your opponent attacked into your Rearguard and it was a Pacifica, or their Kagero, or their Shadow Paladin, they destroyed your Pacifica somehow, then you're able to just play Ursula and not only get one from your deck, but also get one from your drop zone at the same time, which is double the Pacifica if your Pacifica was in drop zone. But you mostly just use this card to get it straight out of the deck. It is the only card in the deck that just straight up searches it for counterboss 1. So she's very, very good, and I would not run her at less than 4 ever. Then we have, going into our grade 2s, 4 Crowning Partner Ivana. So this card is very important because Vanguard, Rearguard, when placed, you put up to 1 face-up Top Idol Pacifica each from your drop zone and damage zone into your hand, and then if you put a card from damage zone, put the top card into your damage zone. So this ability may only be used once by a card name with the same card name once per turn. So Ivana is very important because it's the only card in your deck that gets Pacifica from your damage zone. Now getting it from your drop zone, you have a couple cards to do that, like we just talked about Ursula, but Ivana is mainly important for getting your Pacifica out of the damage zone. So also it's very good because we can ride it and use its ability on Vanguard. So this means that if we quote-unquote got lucky and our first damage check was a Pacifica, then we can ride Ivana and get that Pacifica to hand, which fixes our hand if we didn't have a grade 3 to ride, or if we just needed an additional Pacifica to get to our hand. Moving on, in our grade 2s, we have 4 Flustering Idol Flutter. So Flutter skill is when placed on Rearguard, you can discard a card from your hand, draw a card, and then you can pay counterblast 1 if you'd like, and return a top Idol Pacifica from drop zone to your hand. So yeah, another card that returns Pacifica from drop to hand. Very, very good. The reason that I like this card so much is that its discard and draw happens first. So you can actually place this card on grade 2, discard a Pacifica, draw a card, and then counterblast 1 knowing that you're going to get that same Pacifica back to your hand. So you basically just +1 and it's not even a filter at that point. So I like really like Fleta because it's a good plus. Then rounding out our grade 2 lineup, we have 3 Choco Love Heart Lieselot. Lieselot, we talk about this in mostly all of our Bermuda decks, but it has a continuous hand ability that says it can be called as grade 1, so it can be called to Rearguard even when your Vanguard is grade 1, meaning that you can rush your opponent really easily with it between this and the second skill, which is Vanguard Rearguard. When placed, look at the top card of your deck and call it to Rearguard or put it into your soul, and this ability may only be used by a card with the same card name once per turn. So you can only use one Lieselot once per turn, no matter if you have multiple copies, meaning that if you have this card on grade 1, you should just play it, get the free card into your soul or get the free card onto the board, and then try to rush your opponent, or if you went first, just in turn and wait for the next turn to rush your opponent and get some good pressure off. Moving on to our grade 1s, we have 4 Topping Mascot Syrio. So Syrio's effect is on Vanguard Rearguard when placed. Counterblast 1 to look at the top 7 cards of your deck and reveal up to 1 top Idol Pacifica and a Refined Posier Ursula each from among them. Put them into your hand and shuffle your deck. And if yours and your opponent's Vanguard are both grade 1, you may Soul Blast 1 for this cost. So this card is very, very solid because not only does this card get check top 7, which is a decent amount, but you also can get a top Idol Pacifica or Ursula or both. So best case scenario, you use this card and you get top Idol Pacifica and a Ursula, because that's guaranteeing you 2 Pacificas at least off of just Syrio and Ursula. And then also, when you and your opponent are both grade 1, meaning when you go second and you ride grade 1, because your opponent will be on grade 1, then you can Soul Blast 1 for this cost, because usually at that point you won't have a damage, because your opponent would have went first and not been able to attack you. So that's very, very good that you can just Soul Blast for the cost of this as well. Moving on, we have 4 Lavender Missy Laprio. So Laprio, what it does is on Rearguard, at the end of the battle that it boosted a Rearguard, you can counterblast 1 and return this unit to your hand. Look at the top 7 cards from your deck, reveal up to 1 top Idol Pacifica from among them, put into your hand, and shuffle your deck. So not only does this card bounce itself so that you can use it as shield, but it also checks top 7, and if you get lucky, you can get a Pacifica, which will further your goals towards winning the game. Next up, we have 4 Silent Ardor Soldia. So Solda, what it does is continuous Rearguard circle. All of your Rearguards with the same card name as your Vanguard get boost, and they cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effect. So what Solda does is she works really well with Pacifica, because she allows you to put all your Pacificas in the back row and just boost with them. And then also, if your opponent's playing like cards that target cards specifically and destroy them or bind them or whatever, your opponent cannot target them. So your opponent cannot target with like Kagero cards that snipe off cards, or even stuff like Shadow Paladins, Blaster Dark, Blaster Blade, all that stuff. So this protects your Pacificas for the most part. Now they can still be hit by things like Gauntlet Buster, which is another reason why this card is useful, because you want to be able to place these in the back row. However, if they have a Gauntlet Buster, chances are they're going to have to move, or they're going to have the ability to move the Pacificas up to the front row anyways and then bind them. So it doesn't protect it that much, but it helps you protect them as much as you can. Then moving on to our last grade 1 in the deck, we just run 2 Special Message Aurora. Aurora is a pretty good card in most Bermuda decks. It just Vanguard, Rearguard when placed, draw a card and discard a card, and then this ability may only be used by a card with the same card name once per turn. So you can't use 2 Auroras in a turn, but it's just very good filter to fix our hand and fix what's going on, should we not have something that we need or want or that we're searching for. Then for our starter, we run 1 Angelic Star Coral. You can really run any Bermuda starter for this deck. It doesn't really matter, but all of them allow you to, when rode upon, draw a card. So that's very good. Just, classic starter. And then we run 8 crit, 4 draw, and 4 heal. 4 Throbbing Shooter Peria, 2 Direct Sign Parsh, 2 Lover Hope Lena, 4 Glittery Baby Rene, and 4 Handmaid Lover Elena. So with that being that, we're going to get right into the games portion of the video. So the first game, it looks like we're playing against Shadow Paladin. Our opponent looks like they're playing Mordred, the Mordred deck, so we ride Syrio. Unfortunately, because of how Syrio works, we're not able to use Syrio's skill when we go first. It's only when we go second that we're able to use Syrio by Soul Blasting. So our opponent has to G-assist and rides and gets a draw trigger, so he passes anyways. We ride Ivana, and we don't have many cards to just go after him, so we just end it there. He discards a card for Blaster Dart to get Twin Drive, and then he uses the Claret Sword Grade 2, which is interesting. He gets a crit, and then he attacks us for 25, which we take. We ride Pacifica. We have 2 Pacificas to start off with, and then we basically just use Ursula to get another one. And then we use Pacifica's skill, Soul Blast. We get 2 force markers, and then he has to guard with 3 or more this turn. So we place our Pacificas in the front row, knowing that we can get them back with the cards that we have in our hand. So we attack for 23. We do our triple drive. We get 1 crit. And then we attack for 33, and he guards with 3 cards. He rides Mordred, calls Blaster Dark. He uses Blaster Dark skill. We get rid of our Ursula. Then he calls another Blaster Dark using the skill. We get rid of a Pacifica this time. Then he uses Masquerade because he's going in for the win here. He attacks us. We block. We get a draw trigger on defensive. We block his Vanguard for a 2 to pass. He does not get it. And then he attacks our Rearguard, and then when he attacks Vanguard, we block it. We use Ursula to get a Pacifica from Drop Zone. Then we use Flutter, and then we get another Pacifica from Drop Zone. So we have our 3 again. We get our 2 force markers. He has to guard with 3 or more, which is basically a death sentence for him because he only has 3 cards in his hand, which means that he can't guard 2 of our attacks. So he 1 to passes us. We get double critical, and that's just the game. So as you guys could see there, because we went first and we started off well, we were able to pressure our opponent really easily, and the force markers definitely helped because if he doesn't have a PG, if he does have a PG, he has to guard with 4 cards, including the discard, and then if he doesn't, he has to, block our numbers. So we go first against our Oct Force opponent in this new game. We have to G-assist, so we get Aurora, we draw 1, discard 1, and then we end our turn. Our opponent rides and then uses that grade 1 to check top 5, discard a card, and then goes for the attack on us. So that's 16. We no guard. He gets a front. We get a crit. We ride Ivana. We get Lieselot, and then we top deck into a Pacifica, which is very nice, except for the fact that we don't have a Pacifica to ride, which is kind of what we need. And then we attack for 31. We use the skill of our Rearguard to check top 7. Unfortunately, we do not get a Pacifica. And he rides, attacks our Vanguard, gets another front trigger. We damage check a Pacifica, which is pretty awful, but we ride Ursula, we get our Pacifica, so either way, next turn we're going to have it. We decide to play Laprio on Rearguard. We attack for 10, then 23. We don't get any triggers, and then we attack for 21. He blocks it. He goes for Revan, calling a couple Rearguards, goes for the Vanguard skill. Minusing goes 5k. He attacks for 14. And then he attacks with Vanguard. We 2 to pass. He gets a front trigger and a draw, so the attack passes. We get a heal, and then we get a draw, drawing a card. We ride our Pacifica now. We give the force to Vanguard. I kind of want to say I think we did that as a mistake, but I'm not really sure because I don't really remember when I was playing this game. But we do play Solda, so our Pacifica is able to boost from the back row. We play another Pacifica from our hand. We get 2 force markers. And then we attack our Vanguard for 20, or we attack his Vanguard for 20. We attack for 51. He PGs. We get a heal, nothing, and then nothing. And then we attack for really big, which would have been awesome if we got a crit, because I think we would be able to end the game, but we did not. He plays the, whatever this grade 2 is called, Foivos, just so that he can get a card for free. He gets a stand trigger. He's able to minus us by 5k. He attacks for 17. We block with a 10k. He attacks for 27. He doesn't have 5 rested. So... yeah, but, basically we're telling him about his effects, and he uses Foivos and Gallius to restand, but I told him that I was thinking. He has triple drive, and so I was thinking about what I wanted to do here, because there's only a couple ways that we survive this with him having a Riptide and all. So he PG'd this. He gets a crit and another crit, so that's pretty bad for us. He attacks for 14. And then we realized that the Foivos only has 1 crit, so we calculated out if we could guard, and our best chance was to try to take a damage there and hit a heal, which we did not hit, so unfortunately that was the game. And then loading up Pacifica Game 3, we're playing in Shadow Paladin. This looks like it's a Claret Sword this time instead of Mordred. Our opponent goes first, which is actually solid for us, because we have a Syrio to start off with, which means that we're going to be able to use the skill. So we draw from starter. We use Syrio to check top 7. We get a Pacifica and a Ursula, which is really, really awesome. And then we call Elise a lot, getting an Ursula. So we're able to get this early rush off really well. He doesn't check any damage triggers, which is even more perfect. And he doesn't really have cards that he wants to guard with, but he guards with the grade 1. And then he uses the skill of his grade 2, get plus 5k, and since he milled a grade 1, he can kind of boss 1 to draw a card. Uses another skill to check top 3, gets his grade 2, and then gets plus 10. He plays his grade 2, discarding another card. He gets the main, using the main to call Swordbreaker. Swordbreaker skill to draw a card. Attacks our Vanguard for 15. We no block. We get a draw trigger, and then he attacks our Vanguard again. We get Ivana. We play another Syrio. Check top 7. This time we do not get anything. We use another Syrio. We do not get anything, so that was pretty unfortunate. We attack for 18, then 18. He no guards, and we check a Syrio. And then we attack for 21, which he intercepts. Then he goes Force 2. He goes PBD, which is actually pretty interesting. He uses PBD skill to make us get rid of 3 cards, 3 Rearguards, and then he plays the grade 2. He attacks us for 28, making us block with 2 cards. We go for a 2 to pass. He does not get it, so he gives all those a Rearguard, and then we take 2 damage. We ride Pacifica. We use Ursula to get another Pacifica. We use Syrio to check top 7 again, and we miss again, which sucks, but we use Pacifica. We get 2 force markers. We attack for 31 to start off with. He takes it. We attack for 41. He PGs. We do get a crit and a draw trigger, and we attack him for 51. And he is able to barely guard that, leaving him only with 2 Claret Swords, and he went Force 2. When he rides Claret Sword, he doesn't mill any grade 1, so that makes this very easy for us. We 2 to pass his Vanguard. He gets a draw trigger, gives it all to Vanguard so that he can do the restand ability. He attacks for 23. We PG that one, and then he attacks for 13, which we block. Then we just go for using Pacifica's skill to get 2 force markers. We give it to our Rearguards. We attack for 41. He blocks the first one. We attack for 41 again. We get a crit out of our triple drive, and then he takes 2 damage, and that's the game. So with that being that, that has been the games and the deck for Pacifica, which ends our future fight for Pacifica. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like on the video, comment down below letting me know your thoughts. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell button to not miss anything further. Check out our second channel, Let's Plays Animes, and check out our channel memberships with the join button down below. But with that being said, this has been Josh from Cardfight Empire, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace, guys.